And if you're just joining us, this is what is happening at this moment. Hostilities have broken out between Hamas in Palestine and the State of Israel. Early this morning, the State of Israel woke up to a barrage of almost unending rocket fire that went on for almost about 20 minutes. Now, the leader of the Hamas group in Gaza says that at least about 7,500 rockets were fired into the State of Israel, predominantly targeting the southern and central parts of the country. Now, Israel has now put out some numbers. This is what is being said. At least about 40 Israelis, many of them soldiers, have been killed in this onslaught by Hamas. Now, there are hundreds of others who have sustained some serious injuries. The country has launched a counter-offensive as part of its retaliation against Hamas, and it has carried out bombings in the Gaza Strip. And according to information that has now come in, 9 Palestinians have been killed in the bombings that have been carried out by the State of Israel. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that Israel is now at war. But this was a fact that the Palestinians had woken up to and did not necessarily need their Prime Minister to tell them. And what has come as the biggest offensive against Israel following the 2021 10-day-long war, the armed wing of the Hamas group has in fact launched an operation that it has described as the Al-Aqsa Flood. The Hamas has called on the resistance fighters in the West Bank and also in other Arab and Islamic nations to join the battle. This is effectively a call to arms by the Hamas that it has put out, saying that it wants all fighters who believe in the Palestinian cause to join the war. The Hamas group has fired an estimated 7,500 rockets since the break of dawn earlier this morning.
فقد قررنا أن نضع حداً لكل ذلك بعون الله ليفهم العدو أنه قد انتهى الوقت الذي يعربد فيه دون محاسب، فإننا نعلن بدء عملية طوفان الأقصى.
كما أننا نعلن بعون الله وقوته أن الضربة الأولى من عملية طوفان الأقصى، والتي استهدفت مواقع العدو ومطاراته وتحصيناته العسكرية خلال 20 دقيقة الأولى.
Right from early this morning, air raid sirens wailed across Israel's south and central areas, including in cities such as Ashkelon, Sderot, Rehovot, and even Jerusalem. The multiple fires broke out across these cities as the Hamas rockets managed to pierce through the Israeli skies. And questions are now being asked about the much-touted Israeli anti-air defense system, the Iron Dome, which Israel has. And questions are being asked, how is it that so many of these rockets managed to pierce through the air defense system that the State of Israel has? In Gaza, the militants claimed that they had taken over several Israeli military assets, including tanks and armored vehicles. This video that you're looking at on your screens was put out by the Reuters wire agency, and it apparently shows the Palestinian fighters moving in as they took control of one of the Israeli military outposts. And what is also doing the rounds as part of these videos that are now everywhere, pretty much on social media, is that the Palestinian fighters managed to take the Israeli military by surprise. They've captured an Israeli military camp at one of the Israel-Gaza borders. They've taken several Israeli soldiers captive. And questions are being asked as to how is it that the Israeli Secret Service just could not have predicted this onslaught. Now, these are videos of the Palestinian fighters having destroyed an Israeli tank. And there are videos also of an Israeli soldier being dragged out of a tank by the Hamas fighters. These are dramatic videos that are now doing the rounds, put out by the wire agency Reuters. And it now remains to be seen as to how Israel, of course, responds to this. It has already started air raids across different parts of the Gaza Strip. The Gaza Strip, remember, is not a large patch of territory. It's a very small piece of territory. It is one of the most densely populated areas anywhere in the world. And more importantly, the Gaza Strip has been under an Israeli blockade since at least 2007 onwards, for the last 15, 16 years. everything that comes in and goes out of the Gaza Strip happens under the watchful eyes of the Israelis. With that being the case, questions are now being raised as to how is it that the Hamas fighters were able to smuggle in at least 7,500 of these crude rockets that have been fired into the state of Israel. These are almost unprecedented events that are unfolding, images that no one expected would happen. These are the Hamas fighters who seem to have captured a few of the Israeli tanks. There are also reports that Hamas fighters have managed to infiltrate into positions that can only be described as the Israeli military positions at the Gaza-Israel border. Now, addressing the conflict at an emergency meeting, the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has said that the Palestinians have the right to defend themselves against, quote-unquote, the terror and atrocities being committed by the Israeli illegal settlers who are taking up more and more of the Palestinian lands. He also said, just like the people of Israel say they have the right to defend themselves, the Palestinians too have a right to defend themselves. Now, buckling up to thwart the incoming attack, the Israeli Defense Forces have launched counter-raids into Gaza as part of the Israeli Operation Iron Swords. Now, Israel's security forces have been ordered to clear out the infiltrated towns, and all reservists, or at least a large part of the reservists in the state of Israel, have now been called back to service. Israel, as part of its counter-offensive, has launched several air raids in the Gaza Strip. The Israeli army has said that Hamas will face consequences and responsibility for these events. Israel's defense minister has said that the Iran-backed Hamas made a quote-unquote grave mistake by declaring war on Israel. Israeli forces have carried out air raids across 17 military compounds and 4 operational command centers belonging to Hamas in the Gaza Strip in the last few hours. Meanwhile, the Palestinian health minister has declared a state of emergency in all hospitals. This after reports revealed that several Palestinians have been killed and many others have been maimed and injured after Israel carried out bombings in the Gaza Strip. Now, this latest breakout of hostilities follows a period of heightened tensions in September, when Israel had closed off the border to the Gazan workers for at least 2 weeks. The shutdown of the crossing had come as the Palestinians protests had demanded that they should be given the rights to go and work and earn their living in the heavily militarized border. Critics have slammed the border closures by Israel as a collective punishment against the people of Palestine. Meanwhile, the months-long anti-judicial reform protests in the state of Israel have been called off in the wake of the breakout of hostilities between the state of Israel and the Hamas militant faction. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.